The Able McLaughlins by Margaret Wilson. 1. The prairie lay that afternoon, as it had lain for centuries of September afternoons, vast as an ocean, motionless as an ocean coaxed into very little ripples by languid breezes, silent as an ocean where only very little waves slip back into their element. One might have walked for hours without hearing anything louder than high white clouds casting shadows over the distances, or the tall slough grass bending lazily into waves. One might have gone on startled only by the falling of scarlet swamp lily seeds, by sudden goldfinches, or the scratching of young prairie chickens in the shorter grasses. For years, now not even a baby buffalo had called to its mother in those stretches, or an old squaw broken ripening wild grapes from the creek thicket. 15 years ago, one might have gone west for months without hearing a human voice. Even that day a traveler might easily have missed the house where little David and the fatter little Sarah sat playing, for it was less in the vastnesses about it than one short bubble in a wave's crest. 10 years ago the children's father had halted his ox team there, finishing his journey from Ayrshire, and his 8 boys and girls alighting upon the summer's crop of wild strawberries, had harvested it with shrieks of delight which broke forever the immediate part of the century's silence. A solitary man would have left the last source of human noise 60 miles behind him, where the railroad ended. But this far-sighted pioneer had brought with him a strong defense against the hush that maddens. He had a real house now. The log cabin in which he and his 9, his brother and his 10, his 2 sisters and their 16 had all lived that first summer, was now but a mere woodshed adjoining the kitchen. The house was a fine affair, built from lumber hauled but 40 miles, so steadily the railroad crept westward and finished, the one half in wild cherry cut from the creek, and the other half in walnut from the same one source of wood. Since the day of the first McLaughlin alighting there had arrived, altogether, to settle more or less near him, on land bought from the government, his 3 brothers and 4 sisters, his wife's 2 brothers and 1 sister, bringing with them the promising sum of 69 children, all valiant enemies of quietness and the fleeing rattlesnakes. Some of the little homes they had built for themselves could be seen that afternoon, like distant specks on the ocean. But Sarah and David had no eyes, just then, for distant specks. They had grown tired of watching the red calf sleep, and Davy was trying to make it get up. Finally, in self-defense it rose, and having found itself refreshed, began gambling about, trying its length of rope, its tail satisfactorily erect. The 2 had to retreat suddenly to the doorstep where Huey sat.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?